What's up, everybody? How are you all doing? Getting everything set up. Episode 21 of Calling All Bowlers. Hope everybody's having an awesome Tuesday. Just getting everything set up here. Okay, let's see here. Hey, Michaela.
Hi.
How are you?
I am doing wonderful.
I'm just getting everything set up here. Austin, how's it going, buddy? Welcome in. All right, so we're going to get this shindig on the road. Appreciate that, Austin. So we're back with another episode. I think this is the first time I went back to back on any of these Calling All Bowlers. And kind of sound like I just woke up, which about an hour ago I just woke up because I'm on vacation this week from the shop. But welcome everybody to Calling All Bowlers. This is episode 21. Hope everybody's having an awesome Tuesday, as I said. I want to now introduce our special guest for episode 21, Miss Michaela Morgan. How are you doing, Michaela?
I am doing great. It's a wonderful morning.
Where are you at right now? Are you still in Vegas or are you back home?
I am back at home in Texas.
Okay. So you're in Texas, but are you bowling in New York collegiately? Is that what I understood?
Yes. I am bowling collegiately in New York.
Okay. Well, we're going to get more into that. We're going to dive right into that. I definitely know we're going to dive right into your Queens experience because I know you just came off of that, and I saw all the pictures and everything you typed out and what have you, and I'm sure that was an awesome experience nonetheless. But let's get right to it, Miss Michaela. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell everybody else, what encompasses Michaela.
So I am 23 now, but I am autistic and bipolar, which most people do know on my side. I struggled with that for like most of my life, and it took a long journey of dealing with that. Most people do know the story, but it took a long way to get here. It took a long struggle, let's just say that. I don't want to go more detail into it, but it does get to emotional road. But it was a fight to get here to the journey that I am at.
Okay.
But mental health is a big thing in my life. So
I completely agree. I think you've heard me say that in some of my lives and when I've gotten on your lives when you've been practicing. Mental health is extremely important. So let me ask you this then. So you figured all this out when you did. So what would you say to those who may be struggling? And what would you say to those that say they've been diagnosed? What advice would you give them to navigate this journey?
So honestly, I didn't know. For me, I didn't know I had mental health at the time. And so for people who think somebody is a little off or like to seem like they are struggling with something, don't be afraid to step in and say, hey, is everything all right? Are you okay? Don't be afraid to step in a little bit Because if somebody seems a little off or struggling a little bit, it's not overstepping a little bit to input yourself in a situation, because there are some people who do not know if they're struggling with mental health, and there's some people who are knowing it and they will like that like assurance sometimes, saying, yeah, I am struggling. Like sometimes they will break down and they will need that assurance saying, hey, thank you. They will need that shoulder sometimes to say thank you, but like will cry on you like at that moment, and you have to be prepared when you do step in that you will be that shoulder to cry on at that moment, like because it will be like a shock for them, because it's like, oh, somebody has noticed that I was struggling at that moment, and it's that moment that you will be there.
Okay. So how? Well, let me ask you this now. How are you today? Like, how are you mentally, physically, all around? How are you doing?
I'm actually doing wonderful. I'm actually doing a point where I'm a person who is on medication, which I'm not ashamed of announcing that. I am now to a point where I'm being slowly taken off medication to the point where I am getting better.
Okay. So it's helping you navigate it a lot easier, is what you're saying. Okay.
It's not a bad thing to be put on medication to help manage your mental health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, like, that, those little PSA, like, I've been, like, plenty of lives I've done, you know, and I haven't done a lot of lives here lately, too. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, but a lot of that's been contributed to mental health and, you know, personal things going on. And we're all struggling at some point or another. So I commend you for coming on here and talking to us a little bit about that, Michaela. And I really do appreciate it, and helping to reinforce anybody in any community on here. It is extremely important. So if you feel like your mental health gauge is low and you need somebody to talk to, and I mean, if you think it's that bad off, you know, definitely go see a doctor and, you know, get yourself taken care of, because, you know, we all matter. We really do. So definitely awesome stuff there, Michaela, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know a little bit more about you in the sense of you are an artist connoisseur, because I came into your live and you showed me your whole catalog, which was absolutely fantastic. I had a little edge when I was about 9 or 10, and I was drawing, and I got out of it. But tell us about the artist. Tell us about how Michaela became the artist that she is.
So it was kind of during like when I was struggling, mostly during mental health. It was kind of the way I was even struggling. It was mostly my way to get out of that side, and it was my only like calm side of channeling that. So it was like during therapy appointments, it's the only side of me channeling anything, and it was me only way to me for expressing my emotions, me to express anything of that sort. Because at the time, I was not able to express who I was, express my sadness. I was not able to express how I was feeling.
So,
And
fair to say, artist was an outlet, right?
yes.
Awesome. Okay.
So mostly like my parents at the time would say, hey, how are you feeling? And I was freaking out. Like I was not able to express my sadness. Like I would just chaotically just break down and freak out when I was a child. So I would just run to a journal and just draw something for them, like trying to explain, and they would not understand. So I ended up drawing and drawing and drawing for hours until I got better at it, trying to express this is how I was feeling.
Okay. And again, like I said, if none of y'all have seen any of Michaela's artwork, anytime she's on live, I highly encourage you, if you catch her and she's drawing, I highly encourage you to go check it out, because she is a damn good artist. I'm telling you, you do good stuff, Michaela. I love that stuff. You keep doing that. So you're from Texas. Um, are, Probably a cliche question to ask, but are things really bigger in Texas?
It depends on what part of Texas you're from.
Okay. So, have you? I know there's a steak challenge. Have you took place in that? I don't know what restaurant it is, but I know they got a really big steak, and if you eat it all, you get the meal for free.
Not the steak challenge. Now the wing challenge, yes.
Ooh, okay. Tell us about the wing challenge. I haven't heard of this one.
So there's a spicy wing challenge. Don't recommend you have to sign a waiver. Just saying.
Okay.
So each thing it gets hotter as you go. So like it starts with the easy spice, and it gets very. There's the spiciest wings I have ever tried, and I can do spice.
Yeah.
Like spice doesn't bother me until I got to that last wing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, no. No wonder I had to sign a waiver for this, because I'm over here. I'm like, I need some milk. I need something because this is too hot.
Did they tell you what the Scoville unit was on that last one?
No, they said just warning. They just said just here, just it's a warning. I'm like,
yeah. So, but did you complete the challenge? Did you make it through?
I did complete the challenge.
Okay.
But I wanted to drink a gallon of milk afterwards.
What is this restaurant in Texas? Tell us that.
It was a while ago, so I would have to actually ask my parents.
Okay. I got you, girl. I got you. Hey, look. Hey, I ain't all about spice. Like, I'll make myself sick, which is kind of funny, and why when DGAB, the infancy of it, one of our first times online, we were doing the hot sauce spare challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, we've had that reaction of some of them were like, oh my God, like, where did you get these sauces? And everybody, and there are a couple people that are just like, oh, this is nothing. And it's like, okay, well, you've got more ironclad stomach than we do. So good for you. So let's go into the non-bowling section of our show here. Tell us some of your life goals.
Oh, which ones? Mostly my art.
Okay.
I definitely want my art in a gallery somewhere. That's the main thing. Just
you wanna according to this right here, when you sent your questionnaire, it says you want to own your own art and painting gallery.
I do. The reason why I want that is because there's a whole goal behind that. It is because like I want to be able to have people who are seeing the physical side and the struggles behind the emotional aspects and the struggles within the display of art, so they can see the artwork being worked on as well as the display as the finished pieces.
So you want them to see the whole processes?
Yes, the whole process being done, not just the finished pieces.
Okay.
I want them to see the work being worked on, like the whole process from the start to the finish.
You know what? That fits very well with bowling and being in the pro shop, because how my drill press is set up is like there's a big window when all the bowlers and open play bowlers come in and they see what's going on. They actually see it, and it does get some, it's eye catching. So and to be honest with you, Michaela, I think that's the first time out of anything when I think of art galleries, painting galleries, and stuff. I think you're the first one that has ever come up with I've heard to come up with the concept of like, hey, let's show them the process of like what I'm doing. And so how do you gonna make that happen, right? I believe in you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm doing the research. I am trying to get it done.
Okay. Well, when we check back in here, say 5-10 years from now, and I get you back on here, I want to see you. You'll be live from your own painting gallery. I believe it. We're gonna manifest that right now, girl. So Uh, Obviously, painting, artwork. Your dream of the gallery, which is going to happen. And yes, it's like Pickle said here. You're going to crush it. Next question I want to ask you is: it said, what did you want to be growing up? I know you had your struggles. You didn't really know how to convey, but was there anything? I mean, and it could be you could talk about drawing again if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, what did you want to be growing up? Like when you were in school?
So that actually is going to like, I was diagnosed at a young age. So I was diagnosed at 5.
Okay.
So they didn't, for the mental illness, they couldn't diagnose me until 5. They think I had the mental illness until younger than that, and I couldn't express or like say I had this mental illness. Like, it was hard. So I really didn't think of growing up as something. I just couldn't express or think of anything else.
Okay.
Like, I also struggled to speak, write. I could only draw.
Okay.
Because I also had dyslexia, which didn't help. So I was just like a big struggle mess as a kid.
Mhm.
I was just one of those kids who couldn't really do much. But I was like
Well, yeah.
just one of those messes. It's a long story of people doubting me and everything like that, and I just wanted to prove everyone wrong. I just wanted to be one of those kids.
I think that's one of those things about when I came into your live the first time. I think you were practicing, and obviously the two-handed style. You don't see that out of a lot of women. I think it's evolving to that, but I think that's what caught my eye. And the thing about it was, I was like, wow, this girl rolls the ball really good for the two-handed style. That's what really caught my eye, and that's why I started chatting with you in your lives. But it really seems like you have made a buku of progress, and I am so proud of you for that. And I feel like, again, you deserve to hear that, and everybody else out there, again, like, I think the commonality then is, like you said it best earlier, it's mental health. And I think that's where we are on the same page, because I struggle with that some days too. And so just, again, like, be your authentic self is, I think, is the key message here. And I definitely think that you have went above and beyond that process, and you have conquered that. And here we are now, and you're on here talking to all of us about it, which I think is fantastic. And more people definitely, I definitely think mental health needs a bigger platform to, first and foremost is to me personally, get rid of the stigma, because you feel like you can't talk to anybody because you got to do it yourself. You got to figure it out. And some of us navigate those waters, a little bit different, and they're more murkier for some of us than others. So, tell me this: where are you bowling collegiately full time, or do you have a part time job or anything
So
currently?
I mostly bowl in college, and then I bowl part time on the pro tour. But I don't. My parents call bowling my job,
Okay.
but social media is kind of my only job. Um, and then I'm trying to focus just on art, and whatever art I have, I pretty much try to sell. That's pretty much my only job.
That's that's why you decided to go to New York, because that's where the big boys and girls are at, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, makes perfect sense. Okay, so well, we pretty much covered anything. Again, if you guys have any questions for Michaela as we start getting towards the end of the episode, we will throw them in here in the chat, and we'll record them, and we'll get you to do that at the end. So now let's go into the we just had the appetizer and now we're going into the entree here, which is what we're also all known for, our love for bowling. So, Michaela, how long have you been bowling?
About 6, 7 years now,
Huh?
I think.
What got you started into bowling?
Um, that's an interesting story. I actually quit a sport and then I joined this one. So my parents said, so you can't just not do a sport. I said, okay, bowling's fun, let's go with that. And then they're like, I met this coach and I loved him. Sadly, we miss him, but he taught me everything to do with two-handed bowling. I actually started out one-handed for like 3 months. Didn't love it, actually. Then he came up with two-handed, and I actually loved it, and that's when I loved it even more, and then just went along with it.
Okay.
I actually loved it so much, I actually chose to go very competitive with it, and I just went on with that. Like, it was to the point where I thought it was like, let me just go with lessons, see if I love it, to see if I want to carry on with it. And end up taking it to a competitive way.
Okay, so how many lessons or how much time do you think it took you to get to the style and the repetitiveness of where you're at now?
I actually took 5 months of lessons. He actually charged me less than he wanted to because of everything. He's like, well, you're switching over. It's okay. I'll charge you less since you don't know which style you want to go with. And I said, okay. He charged me only $5 a lesson.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he was very generous. I would do anything for that coach now.
You're
So
gonna tell us who it is because obviously we're gonna want to go take lessons from this guy.
sadly, he's not with us anymore.
Who? Well, do you still get who taught you?
Coach,
Who got you?
Tom Cook.
Tom Cook. Okay, okay. Well, rest in paradise, Tom Cook. That's your your style. I'm telling you, like your style is smooth. Like I said, you're repetitive, and again, you have something that I have lost over time, which is great balance.
Yeah.
And when I do coaching, it's like you got to be balanced. And again, um, I especially tell people younger than me, like appreciate that youth because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of us that didn't appreciate it, and now here we are where we're at, and we're like, God, why do we hurt so much? So, well, let me ask you this, Michaela. League bowling. Did you when you were league bowling? I know you say you're just doing collegiate, and you're doing like so you just got done doing the Queens, and you're trying to do a couple stops on the women's tour. When you were doing league, if you were like, how many leagues were you bowling on average?
Um, when I was doing leagues, I was usually doing two of them at a time. Um, they were mostly
Were they
sports leagues.
competitive or were they
Like,
just fun?
they
Sport.
were very
Okay.
competitive.
Okay. No. Okay.
Yeah,
All
sports
right.
league. Yeah, very
So they were
competitive
competitive.
ones. They were competitive. They laid a sport shot twice a week. Sport shot twice a week. Sadly, they were not the same, so you couldn't figure it out. But they gave you the pattern length. They didn't give you the exact pattern. So they just gave you the pattern length and the mills. And they said, figure it out. They gave you the pattern
So a
afterwards.
trial by fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just said
Okay.
pattern length and the mills, and they said, this is what you're bowling on, this is all the knowledge you get. They gave you the pattern afterwards, and then they're like, this is the pattern you were bowling on, is this what you thought it was? And then you gathered the knowledge afterwards, then they gave you a fresh pattern to bowl on afterwards if you wanted to practice on. So you were able to figure out during league and then after league. So it was mostly, I got to bowl, so one of it was all my age. I got to bowl with adults and 2 youth. So I was able to help the younger side figure it out because I was in the same one and they lay down a pattern that was same, so I got to help the younger side figure out what it was.
So let me ask you this, Michaela. Would you consider yourself cut? And I ask this based on when my last couple of years of youth, we would go to like a really major tournament. It was called SSJBA. I don't know. You may have heard of it. You may not. But they never did sport patterns or challenge patterns even for us. It was like, we're just going to put you on the house shot. And it was a carry contest. And there was sometimes averaging 230 that you didn't even make the cut. Do you think you are more confident on sport, challenge, pro patterns versus house shots?
I think I'm more confident on sport shot than house shot.
Okay. All right. Well, again, you came up in a different era than I did, but and I say that with the utmost respect because, you know, the way that the game is going, a little bit tougher is not always a bad thing. So keep on doing what you're doing, girl. You're doing great. So next thing on the agenda I have here in our notes, tell us about being recruited to, it says on here, Hobart and William Smith colleges. Is that one college or is that 2 college?
So that's actually like a history part side. So it's actually 1 college now.
Okay.
It used to be 2.
Okay.
So it used to be just an all men and all women school, and now they were combined to both sides.
Okay. So they're unisex now is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your experience of being recruited to Hobart and William Smith colleges, and also tell us about the experiences you've had with the Sterners.
All right, so being recruited, first off, I toured during the summer to see what the school would be like. I got the process of meeting the coaches in person, just talking to them. I talked to them for at least 3 hours because I was like, we were only supposed to talk for like 30 minutes. We got lost track in time and talked for like 3 hours.
Yep. When it's going good, it's going good. Yep.
And I did not know, but Jason was a yapper. Love Jason, but he yapped.
You get him talking and he won't stop. Okay.
He won't stop.
Cool fun fact to know about Jason Stern. Got it.
Yeah, you talk about bowling, he talks about bowling. You yap, you yap. And so will Heather. You y'all talk about bowling.
Yeah.
You keep them talking, they'll talk.
So when did you make the decision? When were you like, this is where I want to go?
I actually contacted them a few more times, and I reached out to them asking a couple more questions. It was a decision between them and the UAB coach at the time. And then I talked to her because the UAB coach was very sweet. She had a lot of knowledge, but I actually looked at the school more. I did not like the school.
You didn't like, we're talking about Alabama, Birmingham?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, ain't no offense taken here. You gotta do what you gotta do for you, girl. You said
it was about the coaches. It was about the bowling program, not about. I was going to school for bowling. Let's be honest with that.
Of course.
I wanted to expand on my bowling side of my career, not really much, because I can go to school for art anywhere. Let's be honest. I can go to school to get an art education anywhere.
Yeah.
But then I looked more at the campus, what the life would be like there, and I did not like it. I did more research on it. I was like, I'm not gonna like it here, so I switched over, did more research on William Smith, and I was like, okay, I can get with this. But then I looked on the knowledge side of both coaches. What side am I gonna get more knowledge out of?
That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
And I'm like, I have to go with what I know. I have to go with the Sterners, because you're getting 2 coaches out of 1. That's you're gonna have to go with what you know.
Of course, absolutely.
So,
I mean, this guy's been on TV more than enough times. I mean, like, you know, you set that in stone. I mean, of course.
So that was when I was like, you're getting 2 coaches. You're getting 2 coaches. And it's the Sterners. Out of all people, it is the Sterners. I have to go with them. Like, they've been on TV so much. There has to be a bunch of knowledge there that I don't know of. So I went with them, and then when I got there, they were already like seeing the practices. It was totally different. Like, from what I was doing, it was completely different.
Tell us about that. Like, what was your practice routine before, and what was your practice routine when you got to campus?
So, the way I was practicing was kind of, honestly, I'd never done 1 step, 2 steps, drills. I've done them, but not as long as I should. Like, I've done them for like maybe 5-10 minutes. I should be, when I got there, they're like, oh, you should be working on them for 1 hour, 2 hours. I was like, what? Are you serious? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh. They're like, yeah, get back on the line, start working again. I was like, okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
So, culture shock, right?
Big culture shock. And then next thing we go to spare shooting. That was a total change too. I'm like, work on those for like 30 minutes. They're like, no, get back. I'm like, what? They're like, oh yeah, we're working on those for another hour or 2. I was like, okay. Or the next day we go and just work on straight spare shooting the whole day. And that would be 3 to 4 hours. I'm like, yay, spare shooting the whole day. That would be my like first year there, and I'm like, I'm not happy about this. But then like this second semester, I was like, okay, spare shooting, let's go. I love this.
Didn't take you long to warm up to that, but
no, it did not.
Obviously, but again, I think it's a given. Like, you know, whether you're a pro, whether you work in a pro shop, I think the commonality there is we stress spare shooting. Mm-hmm. We stress spare shooting. It because the way that the consumer is now is they see y'all on TV and they're like, ooh, I want to make the ball curve. And I want it to just like absolutely destroy the rack, and I want to make it look, you know, like a pretty strike is what they see. And as you know, it takes a lot to do that. So
doesn't matter what the strike looks like.
Yeah, no, you're right.
After that weekend, don't matter.
Well, Mark right here is like, you know, basically just mocking us here, because Mark came down here for my Derek Tate Memorial Tournament, went back-to-back 300s in qualifying. So, I mean, I guess, you know, you don't always need the spare. So there you go. So there you go, Mark. But that brings me to the what you just got recently doing. You just participated in the Queens. And again, saw day 1, day 2, day 3. Tell us about that experience. What first thing, was this your first Queens event?
It was not.
Okay, how many is this?
I think this was 3 or 4.
Okay, okay. So 3 or 4. How was this experience, say, compared to your others previously?
So I think my day one was no, I know my day one was a lot better. Um, my day two and day three was not so good, honestly. Mostly because I have to change my pitches, definitely. Because I've lost about 40 pounds.
No, hey,
So,
all right, congrats.
so I found out, I did not know losing weight could actually, I found this out from the person who drills my equipment, that losing weight can actually change your pitches a little bit. Did not know that.
Okay.
So when I threw my spare ball straight up, the second day my hand started to hurt, and I was like, my hand's starting to hurt. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, throwing my spear ball, it hurts. And my hand started to swell up. So like anytime I picked up a spare, it started like to hurt. I picked up my strike ball, like even throwing strikes hurt after that because I was throwing my spare ball at spares. So like it started swelling up. Even throwing strikes, it started throwing things off the line because I couldn't fit in my strike ball. Like, it was just, everything was going wrong the next day. So I was like, what do I do? What do I do?
Do,
So, at that point,
do they have ball reps out there with y'all?
they do, but I'm gonna keep that comment to myself.
Okay. That's fine. I understand. No, I knew they did, but it's just like in like the capacity, like
So there's about 10 storm reps out there. Brunswick has 2, Motive has 2, and so there's a bunch.
so predominantly Storm is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So how did you end up, so out of all the ones you've done, would you say this was your best Queens showing?
I think my first day, this was my best. My second and third day, not so well.
Okay. Where did you officially end up?
I didn't even look. I
You
was
look.
so worried. I didn't even look.
Well, let me tell you something, Michaela, and I wherever you finished, I can tell you this. There anybody that would sit there and possibly give anybody any grief about where they finished, if it was really low or whatever, the fact of the matter remains is even if you finished last at that event, you had enough courage and just overall just guts just to go out there and try something that is like, again, it's like the Masters, it's like the US Open. You got fortitude, you got some pep in your step to go out there and give that a shot. And that says more about everybody that was out there, including yourself, versus anybody that could just sit back on a couch and try to say, hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this, this, and this. So, no, wherever you finished, it don't matter because all I was going to plug in is like, hey, guess what? If there was, do you have an idea how many ladies were out there? Do you have any idea?
It was 115 in each squad, so that would be 300 and something.
Well, let's see. So 115, yeah, 230.
So it would be 202.
That's 4. How many squads? 3? 2? So 115. So what? 230 women?
230.
Okay.
Somebody did the math.
Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. No, but hey, so again, out of 230 women, you were out there, you were good, you were grinding, you were doing what you needed to do, you've learned some stuff, and you know what? Who cares? You got out there and you did it. And that takes a lot more, that takes a lot more courage and being, and you should just be really proud of that is what I was trying to get at. I'm trying to fill in those fancy words and I'm having a hard time today because my bowling brain is turned off this week. But no, whatever you did, I'm sure, again, great showing. And I'm sure that we are going to see you on TV one day. I'm manifesting this right now for you, okay? And when you do, I'm going to be able to look at that and go, hey, I interviewed Michaela, and I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. All right, getting into the next topic here. How do you feel about the state of bowling in its entirety? How do you feel about it?
So I think the women's side is like on the women's side it's not moving. Like for competitive wise, it's not growing, it's just staying the same. Like it's kind of neutral level.
Elaborate on that for us. Tell us what you're thinking. I'm curious.
Like I am seeing people just not really growing in ways. I feel like I'm seeing people, the same constant people over and over. I don't see any new girls. I don't see any new players. Even on social media, I don't see really much new growth. People of like coming into our
The
like
women's tour.
yeah.
Okay.
So like I see if it was like in league bowling, I see that in growing. Like that is growing in a big way. Like but in competitive wise, I don't see it growing.
Okay.
I see it people having fun and everything like that. I feel like that's growing in a big way. But I feel like in our competitive style way, it's not really growing.
Do you feel that the same that exact way you feel? Do you feel the same way about the PBA tour as well?
I feel like on the men's side, I don't have really much of a say because I don't see the men's side.
Okay.
I feel like Simonson, I didn't know there's new guys on the side coming out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't even know he was a guy. Like he just made a name out of nowhere.
Right.
Like I think there are guys that are making somewhat of an influence that there is a small pretense of growth, but I have no clue.
Well, then let me lead you into this, Michaela. You said you feel like the women's side of things is stagnant. Do you have any ideas of what could possibly be done to help charge and pave the way to making it bigger and getting out of that stagnation? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Honestly, there's not a lot of like broadcasting to the women's side. You see the men's side, there's a lot of broadcasting, there's a lot of influence out there. And for the women's side, it's just not a lot of being put out there for broadcasting and everything like that. Along with like sponsors, like heavy sponsorships, just like the men's side, you see more sponsors and like heavy influence items being put out there. And the women's side, you're like not seeing much of that.
You would say other than the Queens, because obviously the Queens is getting a lot of coverage in the Women's U.S. Open. Other than that, you don't. No,
you don't see much of that.
I could see that, but I could tell you this. Yesterday when we had episode 20, I had Brian Creeley on here from New Jersey. And one of the things I asked him about, which is kind of like, about the state of bowling, in his opinion, was watching the women is great because y'all make it so much more simplistic. Like you're fundamentally more sound. And of course, this is coming from him as his opinion. Y'all are more fundamentally sound. Y'all are a lot more fun to watch. And not only that, y'all have this energy. And I see it on TV. Like, y'all actually will give each other fives on TV. You don't see that with the men. They're not doing that until the end, saying, "Hey, congratulations." No, y'all, the camaraderie is there with y'all. Like y'all talk to each other. Like when they were doing the features on the USBC Facebook page, like they were doing a profile. I think they did one of Liz, they did one of Daria, and they showed the highlight video, and like the interaction is like top notch. And I feel like that there's an outlet for that.
Mhm.
And
So
give me your thoughts.
that's actually starting to die out too.
Really?
Sadly, yeah. Um, it's because it's the younger generation.
Hmm.
Um, that's not. It's the older generation started. It started with the older generation. It's not being passed down, and the younger generation is not doing it. Like I do it because I was taught. I was showing the respect side of it.
Mhm.
I did the same thing with the younger side of it, and they just pushed me off. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I thought this was like a mutual respect. Like, I thought it was like sportsmanlike. Like, what is going on? Like, and then I go to the older generation side, they do it. So that's when I go to tournaments, I watch and stand back and look at other lanes. The younger side don't do it, but the older generation does.
Mhm.
So I learned that it's because from the older generation and the younger generation, some of the things that didn't get passed down is dying in the younger generation side.
I can definitely see that. Is there anything you think that you can do with the platform that you have that may be able to maybe flip the switch and turn this thing around?
So with the people I know, I've already tried sharing knowledge. I've already tried passing down my side of my knowledge that is from the older generation to the younger generation. Since I'm kind of like in the middle of both and I know from the older generation and I'm trying to pass it down. So I'm currently being like the media of the situation.
Okay.
Like trying to pass it forward.
Well, you keep doing that. Don't give up on that. It's again, I don't think a lot of people understand just exactly what it takes to be a content creator in whatever your specialty is. So just keep grinding at it, girl, and remember 1% better every day. That's my motto.
Yeah.
So okay, long term and short term goals. What you got
So
for us?
short term, honestly, it's simple. Getting better every day. Putting a little effort every day would do a lot.
Huh?
Long term, I have a lot of long term.
Give it to
I
us. Tell us everything, girl. We want to hear it.
definitely, definitely art, but like that's already said. Bowling wise, mostly trying to make a cut, which is kind of probably a short term coming up soon, hopefully.
Huh? Mm-hmm.
um, trying to make a show. Well, the show because definitely two-handers because there has not been a female two-hander that has made a show yet.
All right. Okay.
So that's definitely a goal. That's like I want to be the first one to do that, and I'm like praying up there. I am the first one.
Hey.
Like I will cry if somebody makes it before me. I will like break down and cry.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, okay? Kind of been thinking about this since we got on here talking about PWBA, the Queens, and everything. How is two handed bowling? How is the perception on the women's tour? Like I said, I know you're doing it. I'm sure there are other ones I can think about that are doing it now. But like when you came on there for the first time, like you did your first pro event and with your two handed style, how was that received?
It depends. So there was some people who find it kind of not really. I was gonna say disgusting, but no, like I don't even know the right term.
Did they not know what to think?
I would say yes. They were like mostly they found me kind of invasive. I would say.
Invasive. Okay.
They found me like thinking that like I shouldn't belong almost.
Well, we know how you responded to overcoming that adversity already.
Yes, I was like, I saw the reaction. I was like, I don't like that reaction. I'm gonna go walk up and say hi.
Okay. There we go.
I literally was like, I don't like being treated like I don't belong, but this is how I'm gonna react.
Taking a negative and turn it into a positive. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So
My,
has it
my
been
dad,
has it been
my dad,
different?
yeah. So like turning it into a positive is the only way to respond. That's how I was always raised. If you're treated negatively, don't treat it with another negative. That is how chaos and something bad happens. Mm-hmm. Always treat a negative with a positive because then they have nothing negative to say about it.
Yeah, it's hard to say negative about things and to people when you don't see anything but the power of positivity. I completely agree with that. So you want to make a show, you want to be the first woman two-hander on TV, and I guess turning into that, you want to be the first two-handed woman to win a PWBA title, right?
Yep.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Michaela, I'm pulling for you on that. Like I said, and you make sure that when you do achieve these goals, you get on here and you start letting everybody know, and you let me know because I want to be able to watch you live. I want to see you do it, girl. I'll be pulling for you.
Okay.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay, so we come into this part. If anybody has any questions for Michaela about her Queens experience, about her collegiate, anything y'all want to ask, please, now is the time to put down in here into the chat, and we'll get her to answer those. And right now, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about, Michaela, is what is Michaela's favorite bowling ball of all time and why? And it could be multiples. So, what is Michaela's top 5 bowling balls of all time?
Oh, top 5. Oh gosh.
It could be current now, or it could be anything you've thrown in the past.
Well, this is not going to even go with Brunswick brands. Okay.
Whichever brand, it don't matter. Brands don't matter.
So I would have to go with my past bowling ball that I sadly, I've actually thrown my first 300 with this one, which I actually miss this one so much. Like,
which one?
It's a pitch black.
Pitch black. Okay. We got Victor here in the chat. Victor's going to have some stuff to say about the pitch black, so I know that's coming.
I miss that. It's my first ever 300. I miss that ball so much because it's like the first ball I ever got, and I, like, first off, throwing it, and I threw a 300 with it.
So, like, you got it, how long after you got it did you shoot your
No, like, getting it out of the box and then throwing it.
Oh, you did? Okay. I'm on board with you. Wow, okay, so right out of the box you shoot 300.
Right out of the box.
Okay. All right, well, there's one. But what are some other ones?
I would honestly say any storm equipment. I miss my storm equipment so much.
Okay. So, are you having a role? I mean, I guess that's having to do with bowling, like bowling collegiately. Is that?
Yeah, I have to throw Brunswick.
Okay. No, I ain't. Like I said, I'm on Hammer staff, and like I said, they've got some good pieces. But I mean, again, it's the thing that I tell people all the time. It's like, I think the misperception of somebody that is with a brand, the biggest misperception is people outside of that think that any other brand outside of what we're using, that we just stick our nose up at, and that is not the case.
Right.
I tell people all the time, like, if you want a storm ball, I'll get you a storm ball. If you want a Proto 900 Motive, it don't matter. I don't have a problem with it. So I think it's a really big misperception when it comes to that, because what rolls well for one person is not going to roll well for another.
Exactly.
So pitch black, you got storm equipment. Is there any particular ones like?
No. So the current thing is like, I think Brunswick actually, like, this is my opinion, it's a mid lane brand. It just rolls very mid lane, which as of this weekend, I could not get any of my equipment down lane at all.
Just hook it
So
too early?
it just too early.
Too early. Wow.
Mid lane every time.
Okay. What were some of the pieces you were using from this week?
I used some of like the new ones. The hammerhead. I think there was a vibe. I don't have my journal with me. Oh, I actually do. It was like the vibe. I have my like all my notes from this weekend. So Black Widow. I think it was the Magna.
The Mania.
Mania, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Scorpion Strike.
Okay.
One of my older ones, which was the Theorem.
Yep. Ooh, okay. Yep.
And then I don't even know what this one is. 3D Offset?
Oh, the 3D Offset Assault?
Yes.
The red one? Yeah, okay.
I telling you, these are fresh out of the box too.
Yeah.
Just drilled them.
So it sounds like your weakest ball in that bag was the hammerhead or the vibe.
The vibe was the weakest one.
Yeah. Which vibe was it? The Arctic?
Arctic.
Okay. And that one was facing up on you too?
That one was the best one out of the bag.
Okay. How long was the oil pattern this week, or did y'all bowl on different ones?
No, everything was the same. It was like a 45.
45. Okay. So with 45, do you feel that brings me to a great question. Do you feel you are better on long or the short? Or
Long.
mid? Long? You like the longer roll patterns?
I like long, but I feel like I like long, but I feel like lately I'm better on short.
Why is that?
Because of the way the ball reacts, and I can go straight left.
Okay. So that's it. Overpowering with the two-handed style. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. Okay. Well, I tell you what, we're coming up to the part of the program here. We're getting close to the end. So if anybody's got any questions for Michaela, please throw them in here now. One of the things I wanted to, I had to print this over because my black ink is out of my printer, so I had to reprint this real quick. One of the things I always do in the show is I want to give the guest a kind of a bowling topic, like pick the topic. And your topic on these notes is, you said the game of bowling has become a 50-50 split with importance of physical and mental game. Why don't you talk to us about that bowling topic and elaborate a little bit more on how you feel like with your bowling topic?
So, definitely, mental health is a big thing. It definitely is. Mm-hmm. But what I've noticed is some girls focus so far on mental health, they don't focus on physical health. And I did that personally too, is that I focused so much on mental, I totally forgot about my physical. And that's why this year I actually focused on both. That's why I lost 40 pounds. Is I focused on my mental as well as my physical, because I realized that my game also lacked because I was gaining weight instead of losing weight. And that's when I noticed when I started losing weight, my game started to improve. But then at the middle of the season, when I started to slack, so it was kind of like a test trial throughout my college season, trying to figure out what was the happy medium of trying to figure out what is a good happy medium between mental health and physical health. So towards the end of the season, trying to figure out how to figure out an even balance between mental and physical. So that's when I'm trying to say both sides of your bowling game is a very important thing between physical and mental.
Okay. And do you, when did it really start like clicking? When did it start really, when did that puzzle start, the pieces start coming together?
So I've actually done exercises for my mental health.
Okay.
So, definitely like whatever works for you. Like I've started meditating for my mental health.
Okay.
There's little like drills on a website you can do for your mental health, trying to train your brain. Even that could help. Like that helps me sometimes. Like even like little tricks can help your brain. I've actually see a sports psychologist now.
Okay. Okay.
Not afraid to say that, but I do see a sports psychologist to help with certain situations, talk things out with her, just to help things out, even if things get a little too far within my mental health. But it sometimes does get to that point where you have to talk to someone. And good thing the sports psychologist does come and help with that situation.
Are you able to provide us an example of like when you're with the sports psychologist, like where it's helped you, where it's kind of helped you turn the corner?
So I was at a tournament. I can explain. So I was at a tournament. So there was a day where I was so far up in my head. She was actually physically there at this one tournament. And everyone could see it. Everyone was wondering who this lady was. She pulled me aside, yelled at me, which
Okay.
actually I gave her permission. It depends on like how your connection with your sports psychologist is. Mostly, she acts like my dad, which is a good thing.
Okay. All right.
Which is a positive thing.
Okay.
So she was able to channel that side of my father, which I kind of needed at that time. And then she actually helped me with that moment. And then she's like, "Are you good now? Like, do we need to talk this out?" So she was able to like channel some parts that I needed at a moment. And like after that moment, she's like, "Okay, this is what we need to talk about." She's like, "So you were in red zone, yellow zone. This is what the zones you were trying to talk through. This is what we need to talk about. So you were feeling this at this moment. This is where you should be, and this is where you should not be." So like in the criteria like of that moment, she's saying your mental health should not be up here and thinking this level, you should be down here in a calmer level of thinking. So she was physically there to seeing how my mental health was bouncing up and down.
Okay.
So she was able to like channel that side of my father to be able to calm that side down.
Okay.
So for me, yelling works. Not for everyone, it doesn't. Don't recommend getting yelled at during a bowling match.
So you're saying negative reinforcement?
Yeah, well, it's because of softball
Okay.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I always got yelled at because I was a catcher.
Mm.
So, yelling at me was kind of like, from far away was normal.
Mm.
Just saying I got used to it.
So basically the familiarity of that, and that's how that works for you.
Yes.
Okay.
So it wasn't negative. It was kind of like a positive, like normalcy for me. It wasn't really negative.
Okay. Positive,
For me,
positive aggressive reinforcement. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. No, but guys, everybody out here in the chat, if you're just now joining us, we've got Calling All Bowlers episode 21 with Miss Michaela Morgan. She just got done bowling at the Queens. I did find a question that one of our chat wanted me to ask you, Michaela, and it's from our good buddy Pickles. He wants to know your thoughts on string pins and who your favorite bowler of all time is.
So I have never bowled on string pins.
Okay, I haven't either.
I want to though. I'm trying to find a bowling alley around Texas, seeing if there is string pins. I was gonna bowl on string pins in a tournament in college, but they moved lanes because it was supposed to be in our conference. They ended up canceling and going to our regular pins.
Yeah.
I was so excited to bowl on string pins for the first time. I was like, everyone was so excited. I was like, let's go. My favorite bowler. Okay, don't hate me. No one hate me. It was Jason. No, yeah, Jason Thelmo. But I actually changed since I did, figure out how he acted towards other bowlers. So now I switched to the female side, and it is Liz Johnson.
Okay.
Because I actually have a story behind that.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
So the first time I met her was like my first year bowling.
Okay.
I did not know who she was.
Oh, okay. I can imagine how that conversation went.
So I walked out of the bowling alley carrying 4 bags by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was wondering what Liz Johnson was walking up behind me, carrying no bags. Remind you, she was carrying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
She walked up behind me, looked at me, and come up. She's like, "Do you need help?" I said, No, thank you. I got it. She's like, "No, I'm helping you."
Mm-hmm.
Grabbed 2 of my bags and walked. She's like, "Where's your car at?" My dad's like, "She's got it." And she's like, "No, I got it." I was like, "Oh, okay." Walked all the way. Remind you, my dad parked all the way in the back of the lot because he doesn't like parking up in the front.
Okay.
So we ended up walking to the. I'm like, he parked in the back of the lot. And she said, "He? Yeah, that's my dad." And she's like, "He's not helping you?" And I said, "No." And she looked at it. She's like, "You're not going to help your own daughter?" He's like, "No, she sucked today."
Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
I'm like, what? Okay, at this time, my dad didn't know who she was either.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
And then, so...
When did you realize that Liz Johnson was Liz Johnson?
So we walked all the way to the car, and we took the bags, and I said, "Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that." She's like, "It's no problem. Your dad's a jackass," and walks off.
Oh, God.
And I was like, "What?" And then next thing you know, another bowler comes up.
Yeah.
And says, "You know who that was?" I said, "No, who was that?" "That was Liz Johnson." I said, "Who?" My dad says, "Oh, no."
Uh-oh. You didn't know it, but your dad realized it, is what you think.
I said, "Who?" My dad looked it up, and he's like, "It's Liz Johnson." I was like, "Oh, no."
Oh, that is great. Oh, that is an awesome story. So, I mean, so after that, it was just like, anytime now, and it's just, instantly, it's just there. There's the synergy, right?
And I don't think she realized who I am now because I was so young.
Well, you never know. You might be the one. I think it's funny because it's like you can either be that person that goes up and says, "Hey, by the way, you helped me a long time ago," or sometimes they'll look at you and they'll kind of do that double take, and then it'll click. I think either way, it's a great moment. So, well, see, even Kyle here in the chat says, "I admit, I make my kids haul their equipment in. They want them all. They can learn to carry them." Okay. All right, fair.
And they can have one of the moments themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So guess what? Just make your kids just do all the work, and they might come across a professional bowler that they might not know right off the bat. That's good. Oh, that's a great story, Michaela. I love that. All right, we're getting towards the end of the program, folks. So if anybody's got any questions for Michaela, put them in the chat right now. We're going to go into the final part of our program here today. I really just want to say thank you to everybody for coming in and joining us. And Michaela, you've been such a delight being on here, and I'm really glad that you came on here and we got to actually make this work. Because it's been a long time since I've done an episode of Calling All Bowlers. So doing them 2 in a row has been awesome and an absolute pleasure. So let's get to the ending here. And I think this is a good segue into this. Michaela, what has been the biggest life lesson you have ever learned?
Life lesson.
I'll read what you said here in the notes if you need a reminder.
I probably do.
Okay, all right. You said there are going to be people who don't like you.
Oh, got it.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you take it away, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, there are gonna be people who don't like you at all. Definitely. There are gonna be people who like you, like I've been saying this whole time. Don't don't be afraid to be yourself. Honestly, there's gonna be people who don't like you, and be who you are. Just seriously.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell us what's the best advice you were ever given, and from who?
Honestly, my dad. I think it was my dad.
Okay.
I don't remember. I've been told this advice so many times.
Yeah, it's you said here, and I quote, "Be who you want to be and do what you want to do."
Yeah, definitely be who you want to be. Don't be afraid to be who you want to be. Honestly, just be yourself.
Be yourself. Okay. Yeah, and you said also on here, follow your dreams, and just be you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So tell us this, Michaela. Get a chance for you to get your plug in here. All of your social media outlets. Where can we find Michaela Morgan at?
Oh, that's so many. Honestly, TikTok. Here. Pretty much TikTok has everything from.
You're on Instagram too, right?
Yeah, but TikTok is linked to my Instagram too.
Okay. So basically, they go to your profile and you'll see all your links.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Okay.
Everything's linked to everything.
Okay. Well, Michaela, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and talk about anything and everything from bowling and your life and you being the artist connoisseur that you are. And I'm telling you, I'm feeling it right now. 7 to 10 years from now, you're going to have your own art and paint gallery. You're going to have yourself a PWBA title. You're going to be the first 2-handed woman to make a telecast and win. I believe it. I believe in you. And let me do my stuff here real quick, and it'll give anybody that has a question last minute, send it into the comments now, and I'll get to it before we get off here. First and foremost, just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us for Calling All Bowlers episode 21, and want to give you guys a promotion here. If you need bowling, any kind of bowling equipment, ball bag, shoes, please go check out bowlingworld.com. And they got everything on there right now. We have an Amazon store. We've got Shopify, all the good stuff. Go check it out, bowlingworld.com. And for Damn Good Average Bowler, if you've not done so already on here, like, follow, subscribe. My subscription is only $2.99 a month, and we got a big thing coming with the subscription. We're actually working on a mid-July to late July clinic called the DGAP Boot Camp. I'm looking forward to giving you guys more details as that comes along. So stay tuned for that, but you need to be a subscriber to have exclusive access to that. It's just $2.99 a month. David Clemens, a good buddy of ours on here, always says it's cheaper than a Happy Meal. So check into that real soon. We'll have some announcements for that. You can find us on Facebook. You can give us a like, give us a follow on there. Instagram, we're on there as well. Same tag as on here on TikTok. And again, like I said, YouTube channel. I'd be remiss to forget. And you started a YouTube channel too, did you not, Michaela?
I did.
Okay. Well, y'all go give Michaela a follow over there on hers because she's gonna. I'm thinking you were telling me you were really starting to try to kind of build that platform a little bit, correct?
I was.
Okay. Was in the past tense or?
I was, and I'm starting to build up on it again. Mostly, I'm trying to figure out how to build up better videos on it. So
Let me tell you. I don't know if he's still here in the chat, but yeah, he's still here. If you want to check him out, his TikTok is called The Bowling Nerd.
okay.
His name's Richie. He just came down from my Derek Tate Memorial Tournament this weekend from Nashville. Check his stuff out. He knows how to do the stuff, and he can get you on the here and there on YouTube, on videos, on anything. Yeah, see, he just waved right here in the chat. So give him a check, give him a follow, check him out, and he can help you with any of that if you end up struggling with how to piece together the videos or whatever. We are actually going to find a day. It's going to be a Saturday in June. I think he's coming down here. He's going to film me. He's going to do one of his editorial videos on DGAB. So I'm looking forward to that in June. Yeah, lots of editing. Yep. We talked about that this weekend. So, but check him out, Michaela. I'm sure he can get you launched and on your way to whatever your goals are from social media. Because it's like you said earlier, you don't see a lot of social media from the ladies, and I think the more content. And again, I tell people all the time, it is almost a full-time job in itself, posting content, posting stuff all the time, and having a schedule. It's just like a full-time job. So, but check out Richie, man. Richie's freaking awesome. I love Richie. I'm so glad he got to come down and bowl this weekend. And again, y'all, everybody out there, this has been Calling All Bowlers, episode 21 with Michaela Morgan out of Texas. So I will now check the state of Texas off of my 50-state goal. Michaela, if you know anybody up there that's local in New York, please let them know. I am looking to try to check off New York, if you know. So let me know. And again, Michaela, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. And again, I am manifesting it for you right now. You're going to achieve everything you want to, hon.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I appreciate y'all. And last announcement, we will be having the Damn Good Average Bowler podcast with Dustin Curtis and I on the last Saturday of the month, so stay tuned for that. I'll have that posted here soon, okay? Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Michaela, take care. Keep knocking them pins down, girl, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Definitely.
All right, y'all have a good evening.